goodness. I don't know. I want to do this mic. Oh, well, you're just going to get the mic in the video. It's alive. I'm going to sit over this way. Hi, y'all. I am late. Not y'all thumbs down because a bitch is late. Look, it's the season of Taurus. And y'all know I got a moon in Taurus. So we already knew that I have not done a pop snark in 3 years. There was no way in hell I was going to be on time for this. But what happened was I've actually did all my setup beforehand. And I realized because I have not done a live like this on my new MacBook, and you know, Apple loves to switch up the outputs. So I have all the new MacBook that has a USB-C, which is a mini USB. And yeah, y'all. Yeah, yeah, y'all. I had to go get some new cords that I thought I already had. But I was like, Dad, ooh. Oh, wait. You know, I got to set the mood. Hold on 1 second. Because we gotta do better. We gotta come correct. But you know, we gotta look. Let's see if I can put my glasses on with this. One. And oh, you wanna get my whole ass. There you go. Happy for you. Okay. Two. Gonna light the candle. Okay, so you know I run this book club. That's why we don't be really posting a whole lot on Okay, the glare isn't doing too much. We're giving a vibe. All right, let's give this vibes. Vibes only today, y'all. But the SBG Book Club has a candle. It's resting as an activist practice. Rest is our first candle. It's a gorgeous scent, y'all. It is meant to, you know, bring up an aura of relaxation to help the book club members read books. It is, oh, this is the wrong label on here. It's sandalwood, lavender, citrus orange, and chamomile, Roman chamomile, because we fancy bitches over here. So this looks like it's gonna set the house on fire, but don't mind that. It's just doing a whole lot at the moment. But support the book club. Yeah. Holla at the candle. Ooh. We're not gonna be able to set the candle in shop, but we're gonna put it on our desk right here so that I can be in the spirits and the auras, feel good about everything. Okay. Yes. So let's start this pop snark off correct with a clinkety clank. Clankety clank. It has been so long. Y'all, it's been terribly long. I don't miss doing this shit. But I thought for y'all, we would come through and hit you with a little clank, 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 clank. Cheers to y'all. I forgot I ain't had no liquor in the house. You know, it's a panini press. The CDC trying to act like everything over. It ain't. It's an endemic. COVID ain't never leaving us. Okay, we is vaccinated out here. Does it really matter which vaccination I got? I got Pfizer. But I have not been keeping a lot of alcohol in the house because I don't want to become an alcoholic. I be in the house, I be bored. We're gonna talk about this later on in the video. I low key just be languishing. I be over everything. Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Am I going mad? I don't know. So I haven't been keeping a lot of liquor in the house because I don't want to be tempted to drink it. Okay. So I only had like a knockoff Grand Marnier. It don't even taste bad. It just ain't that girl. But you know, it's okay. We finna go drink a little bit later. We giving looks, we giving fashions. We're doing the thing. All right, let me pull my notes up here that I wrote out. Oh, this is for the next video I need to record tomorrow. You know, we coming back to the game. We're gonna give it a good go. I am part of the the pop snark of the YouTube Black Creators class. I did get a grant. They helped me get some of these nice equipments. So a bitch can't leave yet. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying. So I thought I would come and do something for the peoples. Okay. Okay. Now, yeah, I want y'all to comment along. I want y'all to like. If you feeling a hoe, you feeling me, my Cash App is at Julesy. Okay, you know, you could do that too. No obligations, or you could just support the book club. Let's talk about that real quick. So, in the book club, oh, you know, I did all my little notes. Let me get my little stream deck here. One, okay. So in the book club, we have shirts. I don't know. Oh, there you go. The Toni Morrison is my favorite. We have shirts that are in honor of Black women literaries in a pen and pixel design. If y'all was around for the 99, when you drop that beat, drop that ass, right? This aesthetic is actually called Pen and Pixel, are the design firm that did that for Cash Money Records. Hot Boys. Where was you at in 1999? I was a freshman in high school. And there were people that weren't even born, and now they're a whole 21. We are old bitches out in these streets. I already talked about the candle. Go ahead, pull it up. Links in the description box because I prepared. Okay, the links is already there. And we did a conversation with a sex therapist. So part 1 of the conversation is actually on, if you go to youtube.com/SBG book club, we talked about the themes from the book Luster, which we read in March. Girl, the book is about a Black girl that's the third wheel in a white married man's relationship, gets evicted, and then just pops up at the white people's house talking about moving in, and they have an adopted Black child whose hair they don't know how to do. It's a messy ass book. So we did talk about them themes. So Michelle Hope came and talked about them themes, and then we did a part 2, which is on my Patreon. So you can either join the Patreon, because we having a good time over there. If you miss me, that's really where I be at. Or you can just buy the video for $4, make it real accessible on Gumroad, because Michelle really dropped a lot of tea, a lot of insight on how sexual trauma shows up in our sexual relationships, how to, within the understanding that we all have some sort of trauma, because we niggas, how to find that pleasure, how to do better, also how, I said Black men is terrorists. Y'all tried to come for me, but I was not lying. We talk about that there. All right, get into it. My last question for you is, why y'all hoes ain't watch this video? Tell me why. Tell me why you ain't watch it, because it's thorough. It's good. I come with the insights, all right? So do a hoe a favor after this Pop Snart. Go and watch my last video about accountability and how we don't really have a framework for it, okay? Get into it. Holla at the hoes, okay? Be respectful, be kind in these comments, and let's just and the last thing, the very last thing is, I am going to be having an argument with Dammit Wesley. I don't know if y'all remember, I've done previous movie reviews with him about like Ma, Get Out, Black horror films. So we've been to argue about them, the Amazon Prime series, which I will also have a full review of on this YouTube channel, but the argument with Dammit Wesley will be on the Patreon. It's gonna be a good time. It's coming up Monday. I don't know if we're going to drink or not, because I got to go replenish the liquors in my home. But we're going to get into that, okay? All right. Am I channeling my inner Y2K? Am I? Are y'all feeling the glasses? Yay or nay? Clap for a hoe. Applause for the hoe. Take a sip for that hoe. All right? Okay, so the first topic that we are going to is Porsha from Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right. First up, Porsha. I don't even know what picture I finna show first. Porsha went from wanting to be an activist. All right, remember this, Porsha? Remember when you was getting pressed for showing up in St. Louisville, Kentucky? I gotta get the state right. Damn, it feels like so long ago, but it was just a year ago. But Porsha got in with the other grifter known as Tamika Mallory and thought she was finna show up and show out and step in the name of her grandfather's legacy as an activist. And she went from being an activist to being a mistress. That is just, it's tacky, girl. It was always tacky, but it's extra tacky now. All right, sis? Now, do we remember this tackiness? The Brianna Khan, TV personality and philanthropy. The one thing I can say about Porsha in kindness is, whoever's doing your fillers, girl, excellent. Well, actually, I know who's doing your fillers, but they look good on you, sis. I just want to, the question that I first have in this mess of from performative activist to performative mistress, because this is all for the coin, right? She got the 3-series special on Bravo coming up. Can we talk about the men's? Because these niggas is ugly. That ain't even. Don't come for me. Do not claim that as anti-blackness. I'm saying because Porsha is great. Porsha is gorgeous. Porsha has put a lot of effort, munchies, and thought into how she ages. You went from this to this. with no bass in his voice. But you know what I mean? And I know, you know, can we say it? Fuck it. The hypergamy movement already done try to came for a hoe. But like, Porsha not poor. Like, what is Porsha leveling up to? Maybe he eats some really good coochie. You know, niggas with ain't no base like to like lay in it. But I'm not gonna tell none of my own business. Never mind. I don't know about that one, baby. Cause look at this. Really? Like look at even how Portia's dressed, right? That the baby hairs is laid, you know, the soft glam, the nails is done. She's recently, you know, esthetician. What you call a person that stick the needles in your face, whatever that doctor is, she got one of them, right? You know, the enhancements, the nice tucks, the nice tees, the nice fit, right? Right? These niggas might have gone to Banana Republic. Might have gone and got them some J. Crew. Look at this shit. This is what it like. What the fuck are we doing here? This is this like, is this leveling up? Like, first of all, it's this other nigga named Dennis. Dennis, you sell hot dogs for a living and you funny looking. Why are you getting bitches? What's going on in Atlanta? And Simon, what is Simon's last name? What is Simon? Which country in Africa is Simon from? The lack of base is giving me East African, not to be shady, but it's giving me Kenyan vibes. But where is Simon from? That is, what are y'all wowing at Hannah for? What has Hannah done said? Okay, this is my thing. Porsha is not poor. What bag is she trying to see? Like, I know this man, and I think there's just it's a very interesting assumption we have that because like when black women, and I get it, right? This, you know, we just replicate the hierarchies and everything. But you know, them shirts should be popping up on my shelf. Turn your ad blocker off so you can see my merch shelf on the bottom there. Okay, buy you a shirt. But what I'm saying is, when men say they're business owners and then don't specify about the businesses that they own, we there's a validity to it, right? There's a power that they get in it. Like, I wonder, is Simon any more of a business owner or business person than Porsha? Porsha very much so gives ditzy, uneducated. I mean, not uneducated. She's just like, you know, I want to be shady. Damn. Mm. I get that she is trying to be secure for life, but we're just saying, when he says he got 40 mil, what does that mean? Nah. You know, when you start talking money, is it liquid? If it's investments, what kind of investments are they? Is it in real estate? Do you have, I don't even know, a bitch got a Vanguard account, just be throwing money at things. But you know, I mean, do you have IRAs? Do you have mutual funds? Do you have Bitcoins? Do you have NFTs? Do you own properties? Is this a valuation? Because people will throw around the money that they have based on their net worth, and how are you classifying your net worth is the question, right? When somebody, especially when someone it is so like, this is the thing. Wealthy people don't talk about their money. So when people comfortably say I'm wealthy because I'm worth this much, mm, mm. Did somebody tell me which country he from? Is he Nigerian? I could have just Googled this before. But I don't think once the Real Housewife checks run dry that's it for Porsha. Porsha has several businesses. She has investments. She comes from like her grandfather really does have a civil rights legacy, and there are just certain accesses to capital that are innately gonna come from her family name. Now I get it. Like I we live in a country that does not provide social services. I understand. I understand, you want more. It's not that you want more, but that the amount of money to not only live comfortably, but to set your whole family up and other generations up is an obscene amount of money in America. I'm gonna take these glasses off because y'all gotta see the look I did on my eyes. Look, a bitch did that too. But like, what? Like, where's his money at, right? We can't, like, if you really understand how capitalism works in this country, I do have another question about, like, well, where is your money actually at? And is it in a secure way that really can set up generations? Because the choices you making right now is giving me, ooh, niggas from the 60s. Yeah, I mean, where is Marvin Gaye's estate? Where's James Brown's estate? George Clinton's estate? Prince's estate? Like, niggas that had money. Where their estates at? In their death, right? How are their family members and offspring set up? And when we really understand, like, how money passes on, I just got questions. And so, I don't know about, I'm just gonna land with this. These are some funny looking men. Okay, but the reality is Porsha claiming that she is not friends with Fallon, however you say this young lady name. Now Fallon got 4, 5, a couple kids herself, right? She was definitely, one of the women that can benefit from this hyper femininity movement or whatever. And then got left, but doesn't actually seem to be mad about it herself. It's just all very strange. The math is not mathing, as they say. The math is not adding up. I didn't even watch Real Housewives of Atlanta this season. But I saw enough snippets on the Twitter timeline to know that Porsha definitely went to their house, was in their pool, knew them as the married couple. Like, ethically, there really is no way you can, like, sell it. I don't know what's happening in Atlanta. That's a lie. I do know. I know what's happening for Black women. Dating just sucks for us in general. And we keep trying to, like, there's structural issues that are connected to why dating and the dating landscape is so, like, trash for us. And we try to escape it, and as we see, like, Porsha is a gorgeous woman. She has things going for herself. She has opportunity. She is, as much as she likes to play sort of like this bimbo act, she's not a hollow person, right? There's things happening upstairs, okay? And she still is ending up with, like, leftovers of men because, like, there's just not a lot of high earning, genuinely wealthy Black men who date Black women to go around. And it is unfortunate. Unfucking fortunate. But let's move on, because all I got to say is, baby, that shit is shady. It's unethical. It's trifling how you went from performative activist to somebody mistress, and now you engaged after 1 month. Please get you. Maybe you don't. If he really got that money, maybe you don't want a prenuptial. I don't know. Very odd to me. Now let's move on. Now, I don't know if y'all follow Nori's Black Book on Instagram, but it is a satire account that talks about the Kardashian clan from the lens of Northwest, Kim Kardashian's oldest child. And it is actually a very hilarious account, and it's the only, like, Kardashian thing that I follow. And I noticed that they were revving up a lot of promo for the Keeping Up with Kardashians, and I've been following them for like a couple years now, and they've gotten in with writing reviews of Keeping Up with the Kardashian series and doing different opportunities, because the account literally is very hilarious. But when I saw this promo,
are you Nori's Black Book?
Oh my god, I wish I was Nori's Black Book. My captions aren't that good.
Yeah, when I saw this promo, I was like, oh, sis is on the show as a reveal. Like they're going to reveal, and let me not assume that it's sis. I was highly concerned that there was a potential that this account was ran by a white gay man, and I was going to have deep issue with the the captions, because they had quite a few captions that poke fun at the Malikas, like this one which says the Malikas were on a break and I couldn't find my security, so I had to remove Sam and Kai from the wing of the house myself. Why am I paying these people if I'm doing the work? So a lot of jokes about Malikas, what they call them, who are the two black women twins that are good friends with Khloe Kardashian. A lot of jokes referring to the Malika as maids, as servants, as detail, as, black women in service to this wealthy white family. And so, it's funny. It's funny when you think it's a black woman. It ain't so funny when it's a gay white man. You know what I mean? Gracefully, fortunately, it was indeed a black woman running the Nori's Black Book account. And I was just relieved, because we would have had to do a whole video about white men taking it too far. But fortunately, it was a black woman who was deeply invested in the Kardashian clan and has all the jokes and all the teas. And shout out to her. I was extra happy that it was a black woman, because it's like, oh, it's also a black woman that's benefiting, that's getting the financial opportunities and getting exposure from the family, especially from a family that loves to steal from black folk. You know what I mean? Okay. Woo, that could have gone sideways real quick. But let's move into some political news. We have the Israeli occupation of Palestine. If you've been on social media at all, I know you've had to see this. I am not necessarily the best person to be talking about the terrorism that's happening on behalf of to the Palestinians right now, but like, I just have this one picture that I thought was a really good like overview just for folks that don't have any understanding of what has been going on in Palestine. Why does this constantly bubble over into conversation every couple of years? And what we're seeing really kind of is an output of what's been happening in the United States in the past 5 years with the rise of Trump, and oddly enough, conservatism that is attached to the statehood of Israel, right? So like they moved the US embassy from, I forget what city it was in, to Jerusalem, which is a contested area because it's a holy city to several religions. And if we look at like how Israel was even founded, or how it has, why isn't my picture coming up? Okay, that's weird. Let's do it this way. Okay, and we see Palestine. And if you start from, well, on my side it looks like left to right, right? So the green area is what Palestine looked like in 1947, and there is this idea called Zionism, in which Jewish people feel that they have a land right to this specific holy land as like where they're supposed to return to. I ain't read the Bible in a long time, but I think it got something to do with crossing the Red Sea and the exile and yada yada yada. But Zionism is also closely connected to the what is it? The official term for the dash to Africa, right? When King Leopold decided like this is how we're gonna colonize Africa. And white Europeans decided that they had a land right. There's a whole connectedness to that, into like what Leopold did, what transpired between the two world wars, and obviously especially World War II. And then this kind of sympathy from the Western world. Didn't mean to drop that. From the Western world towards letting the Jews colonize Palestine. And so as we've seen it over the years, like for people from this area, and I think this idea that in the news is often castrated as like Muslims versus Jews, and that's not the case. There are people that literally lived on this land of all racial or all religious backgrounds who were pushed out, right? And it's not that everyone who identifies as Israeli is Jewish and everyone who identifies as Palestinian is Muslim. All religions are represented in the area. It is really an issue of a certain faction of people of a certain class and certain access were allowed to come in and take over a land through very violent means. And with the rise of Trump, so if you know the little bit that I do know, Obama and the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, did not get along, right? And Netanyahu has been in power since I was like in 3rd grade. I done heard about this man. He was shaking hands with the chubby white guy that was the Prime Minister of Russia before Vladimir, when that Yugoslavia shit was happening. I was just a 3rd grader watching Dateline. That's why I don't remember no names. You know what I mean? But Netanyahu has got really bold because he was in line with the Trump family. And so since then he's just gotten, what is the term? More fascist. You know, he is decidedly saying that he is going to bomb Palestine, or what is left of Palestine, until the people leave. And it's very frustrating to watch the news portray this as a both sides, a complicated conflict. I mean, it's complicated because of how when a state like Israel is allowed to ascend to a powerful position and you give it power, it does become complicated because they can wield a certain power. It is not complicated because of how Palestinians feel or react to the violence they're facing. It's complicated because of the way that, you know, Western society, and particularly the United States, has entrenched itself with a Netanyahu character. And, you know, I tweeted because I just was I'm not invested in celebrity activism, but it is fascinating to me that DJ Khaled is 2 Palestinian parents, obviously has some sort of attachment to his Palestinian culture because he married a half Palestinian woman, and that does not happen by accident. And has said nothing about Palestine in the past year or so. And not that obviously he is not the person that I want to hear anything about geopolitics from, but it's just like a passing thought. And I was like, you know, I got dunked on Twitter because most were like, why are you waiting for a celebrity to say anything? This man named Allah as a producer on his album. I mean, it's just a passing thought. Like, he has parents from there. He lived there briefly as a child. His wife is Palestinian as well. Like, I don't know, pray for my people. I'm not expecting him to come and inform folks, really, but it is just quizzical that people can have a real attachment to the land and the country and see what's happening and not be moved to say anything. That is really just my thought. But I know that a lot of celebrities are just not going to have much of value to say about it because it isn't even just that, like, the music industry and the media and Hollywood in itself has a lot of powerful Jewish people, but like the Jewish people in the entertainment industry are very much so Zionist. And so they're, you know, it's not even that they're just Jewish. There are people that identify as Israeli that are very powerful people across the entertainment industry. And so wealthy celebrities are going to be entrenched with the Zionist side. It's going to be really hard for them to distinguish between people that they associate with. You know, it's how capitalism ruins everything. But I thought this article from Jacobin was very informative that says there's nothing complicated about what's happening in Palestine. The subtext is we should be obviously clear about what's going on in Jerusalem, one of the most militarized nations in the world. Israel is carrying out brutal occupation using racial violence and ethnic cleansing. So, you know, there's a reason why a lot of the Black Panthers and like Angela Davis and all facets of the prison abolition movement and Black feminist movement have consistently talked about the Israeli occupation of Palestine and felt a lot of attachment to what is happening there because it does mirror very much so what is happening in the United States of America and manifest destiny. Okay, let's move on to if I could pull the picture up. My button not working. All right, these Negroes. Joe Budden is that Mal, the Black guy on the one side, and the white guy on the other side is Rory. Okay. So the Joe Budden podcast, man, a show that, not to say that I've never listened to it, because I definitely listened to the episode with Kevin Samuels on it. And I definitely have a video I'm fitting to do, because they said some bullshit. They said they would just blow two feckless ass niggas on a podcast together. You know, it's fascinating that this can become a super popular podcast, and I'm not necessarily surprised, right? Because I've been, just researching a lot, because I'm working on products around dis and misinformation in the Black digital landscape. And I think particular the way that disinformation works so well in the Black digital landscape is an attachment to Black traditionalism that really is prevalent now in the 21st century. I mean, yeah, Black women, yes, because patriarchy has no gender, but absolutely amongst cis heterosexual Black men. And I've also realized that straight Black men, have so little quality media, like on digital media on the internet, to take part in. And when I mean quality, it's not that there aren't content creators or people putting out content, but like even just quality of when you sit down and listen to a podcast, like, is a podcast mixed, like the sound engineered, right? Or is it just niggas in they like living room talking on mics? There's a lot of content that's just kind of like really, the production quality isn't And so aside from like, what is it, 85 South, Black men don't really have a lot of digital media that's consistently put out at a level of quality that they can appreciate. And so Joe Budden fit well into that space, even though he has consistently been a very problematic persona. He has a history of abuse, of domestic abuse with his intimate partners. He has said some very colorist and degrading things about Black women. And he's consistently been just an asshole in the way he even antagonizes other peers in the podcasting industry. Nobody has ever thought that Joe Budden was a pleasant guy to be around. But what is most fascinating about this fallout is that the Joe Budden podcast recently did an episode about Megan Thee Stallion and her not reading her contract and her whole fallout. What is that, 1501? And it turns out that Rory and Mal didn't even know what was in their contracts, didn't even know what their splits were, couldn't get an audit of what financially was happening with Joe Budden signing to Spotify. And it almost sounds like they probably had their original contracts from when they signed on the show, and those had never been revamped. And then Joe takes this deal with Spotify, and it's like, all right, money's being made. Very Tina and Ike Turner, all right? Because I just watched What Love Got to Do with It the other night. Very Tina, Ike Turner happening right now. Like, we making money, but I still got a white refrigerator. What's really happening, my brother? But Joe continually proves himself to just be an arrogant asshole. And, I personally have not really invested a whole lot in the show because, and I try not to invest a whole lot into media that I see as harmful, right? Like, I did a video on my Patreon called Men Are Terrorists, So How Do We Deal? Because I do feel like, all things aside, but like any way people want to come at me anytime I talk about dating, right? But like the dating scene for Black women, I do feel like has gotten more violent. And I think we're just keen to dealing with this sort of violence and aggression and trauma and not wanting to call it that because it feels hyperbolic, right? It feels like that's too much of a definition for what's happening. But like I do think Black women who date men are just facing an uptick of harm that is perpetuated because media is informing Black men that they have a right to devalue Black women in response to structural issues, right? Like, you know, oh, black women are becoming more of gold diggers. Black women don't have any accountability. Like, what are you, like, who are you dealing with and what are you talking about? Huh? And then feeling like because you've absorbed all this digital media that's telling you that like this world is like so horrible, so bad, and black women are a part of that badness, that anytime something is not how you would like it, instead of communicating respectfully or not engaging respectfully, black men will go out of their way to be offensive because they feel emboldened by it, right? Like, you know, like when I even think about what happened, there was like a thing that got popular on TikTok and Twitter a couple months ago about these young girls. They had RSVP for a brunch for a popular black owned brunch spot in Cincinnati or something, somewhere in the Midwest. And the owner came to the door and was like, your lace is not lace, so you can't get in. Why does a man feel emboldened to comment on a woman's lace? You gonna tell me I ain't got HD lace? You heterosexual? Not to be homophobic, but you know what I'm saying. And you gonna comment, and I'm like, that's like that when people watch this media where we get to say black women want all this, but you know who's doing better? Their grandmothers. Nigga, my grandmother was doing better than me. We gonna go back to 1935, 55, 45? For real? Like, what black grandmother was really in, like, what? Like, y'all really believe that shit? That our black grandmothers were doing better than us today because they ended up in long-lasting marriages. First of all, both my granddaddies got extra kids. Second of all, my paternal grandfather, my grandmother beat that nigga with a frying pan. What? Better than me? You know what I have not done? Committed an act of violence against a man because I could just leave y'all niggas because I got the equity and means to be by myself. You know who did it? My grandmother. And I love that woman, and I love the strength that my grandmothers came from. You know, I was in my grandmother's wombs, but they was not doing better than me. Absolutely not. They had to stick by their man because that shit literally meant death. There is a book called, you know, my academic bookshelf is in my other room, right? But there's a book, oh man, I think it's the author's name is Sarah Haley, about the engendered carceral state in Georgia, right? So when we look at like the modern day prison system and penal code, a lot of that was put together, you know, in various states with large swaths of black folk, right? So Georgia, Alabama, they had chain gangs and really harsh penal codes for, you know, Jim Crow black codes. And the book is like a history of like how black women were caught up in that, right? How colorism impacted black women who got caught up in chain gangs, how black women were perceived as more masculine and therefore were incarcerated. And then how like, you know, also like Evelyn Higginbotham's Righteous Discontent, right? About the founding of like how Spelman and Morehouse even came to be. And how there was this understanding of like black women, if we wanted to survive, what our options were. And, you know, black women could absolutely get arrested they could be arrested for being single mothers, as, you know, not taking care of their kids. There's like this whole, like, there's so, like, I'm thinking of like all the history books that like tie in and all, like, there's so many things that were happening to our ancestors that I just find it so offensive when we reduce their legacies to disparaging other people, right? When I use the legacy of a woman who, you know, you could look at Joy James' Captive Maternal, like the idea that my grandmothers absolutely participated in the systems that oppressed them because they was trying to survive. Like, what the fuck are you funky ass niggas on? What are you on? And then Joe is so emboldened that he fires these men on air through a podcast, then like put stuff behind a paywall on Patreon to, you know, to heighten his visibility and make money off of the drama and messiness. It is foul. And that was another thought that I had in watching this whole fallout between Joe and his co-host. Black men are horrible friends to each other. And so as much as I can get on here and talk about men are terrorists and dating and the harm and violence that Black women face and trying to date and trying to be in intimate relationships with y'all, it's wild, baby. It's wild. Y'all, I'm trying to help y'all out too by having these conversations, because y'all be harming the hell out of each other. Y'all are horrible people to each other. And then what happens is you end up in the long run relying on a Black woman, regardless of who you partner with. I was just getting ready to do a TikTok today about these white women who go and marry whatchamacallits. Damn, and I've been on here for like an hour already. Oh, just 40 minutes because I was late. These white women that go marry Black men, it be Black men in the groom's party, but no Black women in the bridal party. And I'm like, but y'all gonna rely on the labor of a Black woman at some point in time, and it's not gonna be that nigga mama. When you pop out some brown babies, you're gonna be hopping on social media talking about, how do I take care of their hair? When he going through it at some point in time, y'all need Black women. This world cannot survive without us. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do another video about the Joe Budden fallout, but Alphabet Super saying the men did a rebuttal today, and the way they refused to see Joe's narcissism until it hurt them was crazy. I don't know if I'm that invested in it to go look at, but baby, it is foul that the way that like men don't even realize that the things that they're uplifting that harm them. And we're trying to just have these conversations because we want a better world for everybody. And it's wild the amount of flack you can get from saying, look, I'm not trying to devalue. You know, I've really worked on in the past couple of years. That's to say that I've never done this, but I have absolutely worked on in the past couple of years not participating in disposing of Black people. And I still have women and men that come for me. And it's just like, what you got beef with? Because I'm just trying to get free with all of us. All of us. All right, we got to move on because we got to do other things. I'm going to talk about... Oh, man. I didn't even put it in here. Oh, did I? Oh, yes. I'm going to talk about Liz Cheney and the GOP. Okay. There's this white woman. Yes, Dick Cheney. It does know her. Is she Dick Cheney? See, this is how much... I'm going to tell you, this is my thing, right? I give the white people 15 minutes of my day, and then I clock out. I read Heather Richardson's newsletter in the morning because she sent this shit out like 4 a.m. So let me actually move this to the side. If you watch this on a replay, go ahead, pause, read this. Heather Cox Richardson is a historian. I forget what school she's at. She's one of the most popular Substacks. She has one of the most popular Substacks. And every morning, it is just a historical letter about what is happening in the news today. And I thought this one was, you know, not that I thought this one, but I keep up with it because it is very informative, because she also gives historical context, right? So in the newsletter that she did about Liz Cheney, I meant to pull the whole one up. We were prepared, but were we prepared? Because I was going to read it. You know what I mean? Like, let me see. Did I save it? Which date is this? May 15th. Well, damn, bitch. March 13th. I took a screenshot of it. It got to be somewhere in my mail. You know what? Do we care? Look, let's get into this though. So what was happening with Liz Cheney, who is Dick Cheney's daughter, is that Heather Cox Richardson, in her newsletter for May 15th, when the GOP voted her out of her leadership position. Now the GOP, the Republicans, are splintering because there are those who are embedded with Trump and therefore did not vote to impeach him, and have also participated in what has been classified as the big lie that Biden did not win the election. And they either incited or have not said anything against the Capitol riots that happened on January, 16th. Okay. So Heather Richardson, on her newsletter the day that Liz Cheney was removed from power, connected back this call that the Republicans are making about socialism and how that is connected to the history of Black people in politics. And that socialism was kind of curated as a boogeyman term because anytime, here we go. Anytime the Negroes got access and therefore were calling for rights, for the government, and the civil rights movement has really historically been based on the right to quality work, right? We've consistently had a labor issue in this state. We're going to really, as much as we can flatten it. And saying that not only do Black people not going to be forced to work, but that we have a right to be paid for our services with dignity. And the United States has found every which way to say no, Black heart, period. Okay, and so in this newsletter, Heather Cox Richardson is saying, as expected, the House Republicans elected Elise Stefanik, Trump's choice for conference chair, to replace Representative Liz Cheney. This means that the top 4 House Republicans all voted to overturn Biden's 2020 victory after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Stefanik thanked President Trump for his support, saying he's a critical part of our Republican teams. Today's vote confirmed the leaders of the current Republican Party are willing to abandon democracy in order to save the country from what they call socialism. But what Republicans mean when they say socialism is not the political system most countries recognize when they use the word, one in which the people through the government own the means of production. What Republicans mean from America's peculiar history after the Civil War, when new national taxation coincided with the expansion of voting to include Black men. In just years after the firing stopped, white Southerners who hated the idea that Black men could use the vote to protect themselves terrorized their Black neighbors. And then she goes on to explain how that's the beginning of the history of the Ku Klux Klan. And then in 1871, Southern leaders changed their tactics. The same men who had vowed that Black people would never be equal to whites began to say that their objection to Black voting was not based on race. No, they said their objection was that Black people were poor and uneducated, and it will elect lawmakers who promised to give them things, hospitals and roads and schools that could be paid for only through tax levies on people with property, white men. In this formulation, voting was not a means to ensuring equality. It was a redistribution of wealth from hardworking white men to African Americans who wanted a handout. Black voting meant socialism, and it would destroy America. And so henceforth is why we now have socialism as the boogeyman term. And this is what Heather Cox Richardson was connecting for Liz Cheney, who now is saying she regretted voting for Trump in 2020. Like, sis, you're a warmonger, you're anti-immigrant, you are anti-human rights. Like, ain't nobody worried about the Republicans eating themselves alive, but I do appreciate this white woman in my inbox every morning because that is the most attunement I have to give to the white people news. Now moving on to niggas. Thank you. I educated the masses with that, right? I did that. Let's have a sip of this cocktail before we talk about JT and Lil Uzi Vert. Why y'all saying bye, Yolanda? Who done offended? All right, let's get into this. All right, so first up. We got this. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. I really do not. Like, JT and her boyfriend. Who would have thought that JT of the City Girls, between JT and Carisha, that JT would be the one going out bad like this? You know, it's just like, wow, sis. Over this? Okay. You know, the dating options just suck regardless of our social class. I must say, the pickings are slim. and the options ain't great. And I done drank my little pink lipstick on off. But all right, so this is the cover. So JT and Uzi have had a very interesting relationship because it really has put JT in a bad position because she is constantly on Twitter tweeting about his ex-girlfriend Brittany Byrd. Now, when this cover leaked, and it doesn't really matter that it leaked or was it officially published, I don't actually think the picture is bad. Which for me, it's that there's all this like, what is the context of JT and Uzi's relationship that makes this picture very awkward, right? So Brittany, his ex-girlfriend, tweeted this. It's a sock, and then said laughing my ass off about this picture. If you zoom in and look closely, Brittany just said sock, laughing my ass off. And we got a barrage of tweets from JT. It was just a whole lot of tweets up calling Brittany homeless. Just like Brittany just tweeted. Brittany was being petty, yes, but like for that to bring up, and this isn't even all. JT, who I follow, was going on for hours, and I'm like, somebody needs to take her phone. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Sis, all this over the ex tweet about a sock? Like, if you are really better than, why give all this energy? Why give all this context? Now, who is Brittany anyway? Now, Brittany is his longtime ex-girlfriend who has Uzi's name tweeted on her like temple right here. If you zoom in, you can see it. And she now covers that same tattoo up consistently with a Band-Aid. I guess, I lived in New York, so it's kind of fascinating for people to like, yeah, I get her. She is kind of like edgy. I think she's like mainstream pretty though. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the aesthetics is that outlandish. She's very mainstream, like attractive. And Uzi, like, apparently I never listened to this man music like that, but has several albums. She's in music videos. Like, her name is all up and down. Back in March, she posted screenshots of Uzi saying, I'm still in love with you. I'm not even with that girl. Maybe he's referring to JT. We don't know, but JT did go on a tweet rant again. And the problem is, if a man got you out here fighting another woman, fight that nigga. He deserved to get shot. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this really leads to this, JT, why you going out bad? You the city girls. But again, we can have all this. We can have a whole discussion about how there's a black woman rap industry that raps and sings and makes music about they're not trying to dismantle patriarchy, no, but about being a city girl, about can't no nigga buy this, can't no nigga afford this, I eat niggas for lunch, put them out for dinner, and then as soon as they get into a relationship, they quickly invest in the patriarchal standard of heteronormative relationships. And they go out bad because the thing is, Uzi is not online backing your ass up. All that money, go tweet that shit into a group chat. Get you a Finsta. Make it private. Have your discussion there. I just don't know why a tweet like this can get you that riled up. Because I thought your pussy talk Spanish, English, and French. Not subtweets. I didn't know that was its own language, It just is a mess. And I don't know a single black woman in rap who hasn't gone down bad over a man. They've all been embarrassed by a feckless Negro. It's a shame. I don't think there are better options, unfortunately. All right. We are closing out. Look, we down to the last topic. Right on the hour mark. Yay! Did you cash at me? Did you buy a shirt? You buy some postcards. Man, I got bookmarks and postcards to still buy. And look at my I to be well shirt. I love this shit. Okay? Come fuck with me. Support me. Not me. Support the book club because that money does go to the book club. I'm going to get back to posting more videos. It's just hard. But we have some things lined up for next week. So thank y'all for joining me. I hope this was enjoyable. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was languishing. There's actually a really good article, and I don't think I put this in. Did I put this in the description box? I don't think I put the link to it. But about that, what we're experiencing is languishing. And I thought this was just such a good like encapsulation. Like me and my friends, we sent it to each other because we were all like, "Have you read this article?" Right? That there's a name for the blah you're feeling. It's called languishing. I am not doing bad. There's things I'm trying to do in life, adulting, trying to survive in America. It's complicated. It's hard. There's mixed. There's all these feelings about trying to get things done. We're working on turning the book club into a nonprofit. We're doing all these things to get to pay our taxes, pay our student loan debt. Be adults. Get our shit together. Got a financial planner now. Yada yada yada. And it still feels like now that we're over a year into the pandemic, everything just feels so unsatisfying, non-satisfying. Like I cannot be satiated. I'm constantly waiting or like doom scrolling, or is it doom scrolling because I'm waiting for something better? Like I'm waiting for like an instant pick me up, and it's not landing. And I thought this article was really good because it explains the neglected middle child mental health can dull on your motivation and focus, and may be the dominant emotion of 2021. Right? Like, you call your friends, call and ask you how you're doing, and it's not necessarily that like, am I depressed for real? I mean, I do have bad anxiety, but what's triggering your anxiety? And it's like, we just in this still, life still feels so uncertain. And especially for my millennials who are in our 30s, I think I can speak for myself. I definitely did a lot of things to set myself up and was really looking forward to, like, now that I'm in my mid 30s, to fully enjoy my mid 30s. And it's a special kind of frustrating to be in a position where, like, there are things that are entirely out of my control that I have to be concerned about. Right? This pandemic and what COVID means and how it's impacted my family and my friends and how it impacts, our ability to make money, our ability to access healthcare, like all like, having to go to the doctors by yourselves, or like, I feel really bad for women that have gone through pregnancies and had to go to doctor's appointments and cannot bring their partner with them. How much this pandemic has impacted us just across the board, and like we don't have any control over it. And I have done all of these things, and as a Black woman, because I live in a society that is built to literally kill me, and I have pushed back, and I have broken barriers, and I have knocked down walls to get to this point where I have like financial stability and I cannot really enjoy it, has been frustrating, especially because it puts you in a position where, like, that financial security suddenly doesn't feel like so secure anymore, and you have to get back on the hamster wheel of investing in outputting more labor. It's rough. And so, I feel for everyone. This is why we came to do this pop snark, why we came out, and we're here for y'all. Yo, this candle smells amazing. It's still burning bright as hell. But this relaxation really helps, okay? The rest as a activist practice, scented candle really does bring me peace. And we really did think through, because I've been going through this like languishing feeling for so long, about the stress that different members in the book club might have about engaging us in readings, because everything just feels so heavy and so unfulfilling. And so we created that candle as a means to, like, brighten the mood, lighten the mood, give a spirit of relaxation in your lives. But yeah, I am here for everyone. We are definitely all going through it, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed this pop snark. Maybe we might bring these back. I'm not making any commitments. But maybe we might do these again based on the response. I will holla at everyone on the other side. Deuces!